After midnight, St. Mary's Regional Hospital no longer felt like the place most people knew. During the day, it was full of motion, nurses rushing between rooms, doctors calling out instructions, machines beeping constantly. But once the night shift took over, the building seemed to exhale. The noise faded into long stretches of silence, broken only by distant footsteps and the low hum of fluorescent lights. Sarah had worked as a registered nurse there for nearly 4 months when she began noticing the West Wing. The West Wing was officially closed. Budget cuts had forced the hospital to relocate patients into newer sections, leaving an entire corridor of rooms unused. Most of the doors were kept shut, and cleaning crews no longer went there. It was supposed to be empty. One quiet night, while reviewing charts at the nurses' station, Sarah noticed a red call light glowing on the patient monitoring board. Room 312. She frowned. That room was in the West Wing. Thinking it was a glitch, she mentioned it to her supervisor. "That wing isn't active," the woman said with a tired sigh. "Old wiring, probably. Just reset it." Sarah reset the system. 10 minutes later, the light came back on. Same room. Over the next several nights, it kept happening. Sometimes it was room 312. Other times it was 314 or 319. Always rooms in the closed wing. The lights didn't flicker like faulty electronics. They appeared suddenly, as if someone was pressing the buttons. A week later, Sarah heard the sound for the first time. A faint electronic beep. The call bell tone. It wasn't coming from the board. It was coming from the hallway, leading straight toward the West Wing. Her stomach tightened, but instinct took over. Nurses answered call bells. That was the job. The corridor felt different from the rest of the hospital. Many lights were shut off to save power, casting long shadows across dusty tiles. The farther she walked, the colder the air became. The beepers stopped in front of room 312. Sarah slowly pushed the door open. Inside stood a hospital bed with perfectly tucked white sheets. A heart monitor sat beside it, powered down. There was no patient, but the call button on the bed rail glowed bright red. Her hand shook as she pressed reset. The light turned off instantly. An uneasy feeling settled deep in her chest. It didn't feel like broken wiring. It felt like she had just responded to someone who didn't want to be seen. The next morning, Sarah approached one of the senior nurses who had worked at the hospital for over 20 years. "Can I ask you something about the West Wing?" Sarah said quietly. The woman stiffened. "You shouldn't be going down there." "Why not?" She glanced around before answering. "A lot of people died there before it closed. When the hospital was overcrowded, they put terminal patients there. Some passed alone during night shifts." Sarah swallowed. "What about room 312? The nurse's face drained of color. That room had 3 deaths in 1 week, all after midnight. After that conversation, strange things began happening with the hospital's computer system. Patient charts started appearing, rooms assigned in the West Wing, names Sarah didn't recognize, birth dates stretching back to the 1940s and 50s. Each chart ended with the same word, deceased. She reported it to IT. They blamed corrupted data and wiped the files. The next night, the charts returned. Same names, same rooms, new timestamps. Like someone was being admitted again and dying again, over and over. The final shift Sarah ever worked arrived on a stormy night. Rain hammered against the windows, and thunder rolled faintly in the distance. The hospital felt unusually silent. No call lights, no distant footsteps, just the constant hum of electricity. At exactly 3:16 a.m., the call bell rang. Not from the monitoring board, from the hallway, room 312. Her pulse thundered in her ears as she walked toward the west wing. The air was freezing now. Her breath formed faint clouds. The door to room 312 was already open. Inside, the once neat bed was disturbed. The sheets were wrinkled and pushed down slightly, like someone had been lying there. The call light glowed red. Sarah took a cautious step forward. The mattress slowly dipped inward, right before her eyes, as though invisible weight pressed down. The metal frame creaked softly. A cold breath brushed her arm. A voice whispered beside her, "Help me." Sarah screamed and staggered backward into the hallway. She ran all the way to the nurse's station and called security. 2 guards followed her back. When they reached the room, everything was normal. The bed was flat, the sheets smooth, the call light off. One guard hesitated before placing his hand on the mattress. His face turned pale. "It's warm," he said quietly, "like someone was just here." Sarah resigned the next morning. No notice, no explanation. She never returned. A few months later, the hospital permanently sealed the West Wing. Boarded windows, locked doors, warning signs posted. But staff members who still work nights say something never changed. Sometimes the call lights still glow on the monitoring board. Rooms that no longer exist in the system, always starting with room 312. Because some patients were never discharged. They're still lying in those beds, still pressing the call buttons, still waiting for a nurse to come. And in that hospital, the West Wing was never truly empty. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. It really helps us share more real horror stories like this.